Taking care of an 84-year-old child 24 hours a day. That's how Richard Lui described caregiving for his dad who has Alzheimer's. It was the toughest assignment of his life. So why did he put his five-star career in news on hold to do it? Just watch.
Award-winning journalist Richard Lui is a news anchor at MSNBC. He's worked in television, film, technology, and business for more than 30 years. 7 years ago, despite his growing career, Richard made a tough decision after his father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He chose to set his plans aside and become a family caregiver.
Taking care of an 84-year-old child, 24 hours a day, that's tough.
In his book, Enough About Me, Richard shares stories about helping his father during his illness and offers tips on how choosing others over yourself can lead to a more satisfying life.
And please welcome to the 700 Club, Richard Lui. Richard, welcome. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good morning to you, Wendy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you had this dream job. Tell us what happened 7 years ago when you walked into your supervisor's office at NBC.
You know, the weirdest thing is, Wendy, is I was thinking I'm going to go in there and ask my boss, Yvette Miley, if I could be on air less. That's not a typical request for us folks that are in broadcast journalism, as you know. So I thought actually she was going to say, we love you, Richard, but square peg, round hole. You probably need to move on. Instead, she said, I'm a long distance caregiver, too, of my mother in Florida. And so we then set out for the next week or two to come up with some ideas. We then were able to pull the trigger a year later after I was about to think about it. My father's condition worsened, unfortunately, but which is typical. And then I started to work Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And what a selfless assistance and help and action Yvette gave to me to help me out.
Because you were in New York and your dad was in San Francisco, right? You were flying back how many times a month?
Before COVID, Wendy, I was flying back 2 or 3 times a month because, as you know, with Alzheimer's, it starts to take away the everyday things, walking and talking and eating. And so the conditions got more and more severe. My father was falling. And so, I was back there staying overnight, probably 3 nights on the couch, about 3 weeks out of a month. It was a lot of miles. You're right.
Incredible. Richard, why was it so important to you to care personally for your father? You could have hired somebody. You were so far away. Why did you do it?
Well, my father had done so much for me over my life. There was just no way I would not be there for that journey. It had not been easy for him, certainly. He, out of seminary, became a youth pastor, and he had 4 kids, family of 6, and that was difficult for him. Then became a social worker. But despite, all of and we were on food stamps and part of welfare for a while because it got so bad, but they never, ever, my parents never moved off center about what they wanted to do. My mother being an elementary school teacher as well. And so I knew that I would have to I wanted to do it. I wanted to be there just as he had been when I was a kid.
Yeah, and you talk about that in your book, that when you were a kid, you were bullied. And what did your dad do to help you?
Well, I don't know how to tell the story, Wendy. It's kind of a funny one because I was being bullied as a young, small Asian kid. And I went home, I told my dad. And so my dad sat on my bed, as he typically did before we'd go to sleep. And I told him, I was like, Dad, this is the situation. And he said, well, you can either defend yourself or you can, just continue to be bullied. Thought about it. 2 nights later, sitting by my bed, I say, Dad, I decided I'm going to defend myself. And he says, I got an idea. There is a new person at church, and he's a Shaolin Temple monk, and we can start Kung Fu lessons for you. And I was thinking, that is great, Dad. I'm being called the Kung Fu kid, and now you're going to give me Kung Fu lessons. And I was like, it was hilarious. It worked, though, Wendy, in the end. It did work.
All right. So you know Kung Fu. Wow. Okay.
I did for a moment, yeah.
Well, how is your dad doing today, Richard? Tell us.
Well, when you ask me that, I really do stop to think every time. He gained a pound, so he's a fatso. He's 139. Clearly, he's not exercising. I love that segment, by the way. But it is really a moment because he remains, we believe, happy. We are worried that we are keeping him too long because we haven't been able to see him in a year. I mean, the last time I visited him, and you've told the story, was through a glass window. And normally the way I could tell how he's doing is by touching his hand or his forehead, and he would react. And I could, through a amplified headset, be able to say, "Hey, Dad, if you can hear me, blink once," and he would blink. Now, I don't know, Wendy, because I haven't been able to see him physically in a year.
That just breaks my heart. I know that's got to just be the worst part. I mean, it seems like they would allow you to, so you can look at him through the window, but that's just not the same, is it?
No, it's not. And so I feel the difficulty that most Americans have been going through in a small way. We all have been through this together. And in my reporting, I try to remember that compassion and that difficulty in the stories told, which I know that you've written upon, and how we bring that to our daily job. But it has been tough.
Real quick, you talk about the power of selflessness in your new book, which you are obviously living out beautifully. How did denying yourself to care for your father empower you, and how do you hope it will empower others?
You know, it's very interesting, Wendy. There are a lot of practical ways we can do it every day. We make a decision, a conscious decision, every 15 minutes. Why not think about how we can do something for somebody else when we make that decision? Whether it's walking down the block or getting a sandwich or going to get a coffee, what can we do for somebody else at that moment? Who can we meet that we may not think we get along with? We can do that. And it's simple ways. It's not in the Mother Teresa gargantuan idea, maybe of starting an orphanage. So I do believe that I would not have been writing this book had it not been for this long distance caregiving journey that I've been through. And maybe my dad inside is laughing at me all the way because he knows that this is what he's doing, is saying, "I got you to write the book, Richard. I got you."
No doubt about it. And Richard, we can still see you on TV, right? Tell us when and where.
That's right. On the weekends, Saturday and Sunday on MSNBC.
Fantastic. Great talking to you. Richard Lui's book is called Enough About Me. I love the title, and it's available wherever books are sold. Richard, God bless you, and God bless your dad.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.